Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at 3 more cards that are just not coming back to the Pokemon trading card game. 3 more cards, which, frankly, we're done. We've had them. It was lovely. But we do not expect them to come back. And I'm going to start with a card which came onto my radar just very recently, and it's maybe not the most obvious one for this series, which remains one of my very favourite series to do on this channel. It's Crawdaunt. Yeah, that's right. Crawdaunt. Specifically, we are talking about the Crawdaunt that came around quite a while ago, back in Primal Clash. Now, what we see with Crawdaunt, free energy 60, no, we can have that all day long. We are fine with this. But it's the ability Unruly Claw which has drawn my attention. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Straight discard, evolve it up, boom, knock that energy off, job's a good un. And to be fair, back in the day, this was fun. Nationals 2015, before events were officially streamed, at least in Europe, I casted the UK National Championships solo, all by myself. Every round on day 1, all by myself. This was, for context, this was back when Lysander's trump card wasn't banned. Yes, we had to do Nationals with this card. So, Seismitoad was the only viable deck. And there was one round where I let the person who was actually running the stream from a technology standpoint, there was one round I let them pick the game. And they gave me a Seismitoad Crawdaunt mirror. And that's why they only got to choose one game. The problem is, Seismitoad attacked for a double colourless energy, and when Crawdaunt evolves, you just discard an energy. Now, it was actually very good in the mirror match, which is the reason why people were playing Crawdaunt with Seismitoad. So you would essentially, evolve up and then get rid of your opponent's double colourless. And then if they missed it, that would give you a huge advantage, and round we go. But if both players are playing Crawdaunt, it just turns into an absolute slog of a game. I did not have the most fun casting. I mean, still casting is still fun, but it was not the most fun casting I've ever done. So, that's why Crawdaunt was good in the past. Why am I now so sure that Crawdaunt's not coming back? Easy. Because of the Tinkaton we just got shown from Mega Revolution. The Tinkaton that got revealed very recently from Mega Revolution is very similar to Crawdaunt. Extremely similar. It's a stage 1. It can discard an energy from your opponent's Pokemon on evolution. There is, in fact, just one difference between Crawdaunt and Tinkaton. A coin flip. Yeah, you see, Crawdaunt was guaranteed energy removal on evolution. That is not the case with Tinkaton. Tinkaton actually needs to go and flip a heads in order to pull this off, and that's the difference here. That's why we're just not getting Crawdaunt back. And don't get me wrong, Crawdaunt was a very good card that did see play. But it never really struck me as a particularly broken card or a particularly problem card. Well, evidently we've got too much low energy nowadays because, well, we're getting this on an evolution with a coin flip, which is different. Now, it is worth noting, we have actually had this ability one other time in the past. This ability did come round one other time. It was on the Lycanroc GX from Team Up. However, the thing about Lycanroc was it's a GX. And that makes it a multiple prize Pokemon. And the general rule is, with multiple prize Pokemon are willing to extend a bit more, make them a little bit better, because they're giving up multiple prizes when you take them down. Crawdaunt, single prize, not coming back. I never thought this before, but as soon as they showed us Tinkaton, I was like, oh, yeah, that ability's gone. Because I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was attacking with Crawdaunt. It was all about the ability. So from a Pokemon that, you know, was alright, but seems to have been nerfed by newer cards, to a Pokemon which was inarguably amazing. How about Machamp from Stormfront? And this was on my list of cards I was going to get to at some point, but shout out to Beppis Queen, who has, you know, suggested it in the previous video, so shout out to them. Although this was one we were always going to get to, and the reason is, yeah, Machamp was broken. Absolutely, redonkulously, over the top, broken. It had an attack for a single fighting energy, 40 damage. That's fine. If the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, knocked out. Instant one-hit KO on any basic Pokemon. And the thing is, this is just too good and too easy. And this is the kind of card that really restricts game design. And that's a big problem. Because all of a sudden now, you need to make sure that basics have some kind of answer. And bearing in mind, when we had Machamp, which was a very overpowered card indeed, we did have Unknown G. Unknown G was a decent counter to Machamp. We had a bunch of Unknown at the time that could be attached as tools. And the thing about Unknown G was that essentially it was attached as a tool, and then you couldn't be KO'd with this. It was Unknown Guard. Basically, it prevented all effective attacks other than damage. And this is, of course, an effect of an attack. Now, I am fully aware we do have Mist Energy nowadays, which is very much a similar thing as an energy. But, I mean, put simply, Unknown G didn't save Machamp last time, or didn't save you from Machamp. So I'm not sure Mist Energy would be perfect nowadays. And I know we have automatic KO potential, but we see it on stuff like Roaring Moon. And the thing about Roaring Moon is, it's a multiple prize Pokemon. It takes 3 energy to pull it off. And you've got to leave yourself with full health remaining in order to actually pull the attack off. It is significantly more awkward. And for what it's worth, back when this came out, it was actually even more broken than it might appear. Because back then, Rare Candy allowed you to evolve into a Pokemon immediately. You didn't have to wait until the Pokemon had been down for a turn. You could go Basic Candy Stage 2. And we also had Broken Time Space, another card. We've done Broken Time Space on this channel. We've done it in this series. Speaking of which, I've linked all the previous ones, or at least most of them, in the comment of this video in the description. So do go and check those out because, you know, they're cool videos. But obviously Broken Time Space allowed you to evolve up straight away. So you could legitimately just go and evolve, you know, play your Machamp, immediately evolve up into your Machamp, and then go and get the KO. It was dumb. And it's not that Pokemon are unwilling to give us instant KO effects nowadays. They are willing to give us instant KO effects. The difference is they make us work for them a lot more. A Machamp coming along with just single energy, KO a basic, no. I'm sure it was only limited to basics, but the problem we've got is it's always going to be that there's a lot of basics in the format. Big basics are always a thing, and when they go away, they never stay away for very long. And then it's always going to come back and create a little bit of a problem. So I agree with you. I don't think Machamp is ever coming back. And since people started really requesting on these videos to have a look at banned cards, I had so many requests from cards that were banned. I used to not do them on this channel, or at least in this series. Now I think it's a good idea, or a good excuse to actually be able to sit and tell you why cards were so redonkulous and ended up getting banned. So let's finish off having a look at Oranguru from Ultra Prism, one of the single most ridiculous cards we've ever had printed, though it doesn't look like it on the face of it. what we've got is single energy, resource management, put 3 cards from your discard pile to the bottom of your deck in any order. It doesn't sound like that good of a card. Oh my word, did this card see a lot of play. Now, some of the play it saw was entirely innocent. It was just, I need a little bit of an extra boost. I'm going to go ahead and use this to get some cards back. I'm using my attack for the turn to get some cards back, and that's going to help me. Wonderful. The problem is, not all of the uses for this were entirely innocent. Because, of course, what we would also have here was control decks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very different. Because what we had there was, I'm going to run through my deck as fast as I possibly can. End up with essentially a 0-card deck. And then when I've done that, I'm just going to use Oranguru to stack all of the most annoying cards. So I am hitting all of my most annoying cards. You know, take, for instance, Countercatcher. Just making sure you had Countercatcher every single turn. So it didn't matter how many switching cards you played, you would never be able to play enough switching cards. Eventually you would run out, and the second you ran out, your opponent would still have Countercatcher because you would be recovering it with this. And we can compare this to cards that have come since, and it's not even close. You know, take the Ursaluna from Astral Radiance. Oranguru was a basic that got you 3 cards. Ursaluna is a stage 1 that gets you 2. Now, admittedly, Ursaluna does get them into your hand, which is a big difference because now they're available to use immediately. Whereas with Oranguru, we had to, get them into our deck and then wait until we drew into them. And it wasn't perfect, put it that way. But, yeah, 2 cards from a stage 1 compared to 3 cards on a basic. It's not even close, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even close. You know, I like the Magneton from 151 because the Yukimori artwork is amazing, but it's a single coloured energy and it puts 2 item cards from your discard pile into your hand. Well, that's only 2, and because it's item cards, it actually ends up being incredibly restrictive. And I'm hoping at this point you kind of see where we're going with this. There's just way too much potential with something like Oranguru, and the fact that it was a basic Pokemon made such a huge difference that essentially we can't have something like this on a basic, and it got banned for a very, very, very good reason, and that's going to stop it really ever coming back. So there we go. We've got 1 card which was alright back in the day, which has clearly been superseded and ain't coming back. We got 1 card that was so good there's no way Pokemon would think about reprinting it. And then we got a card that was so broken it ended up getting banned. And no, there is absolutely no reason to look at it again because maybe it's not so bad. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen. Control decks would come back with a vengeance and love it. But I've told you all about it now. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me which cards you think should be in this channel. Tell me where this series should go next. And of course, with the new YouTube algorithm, likes and comments are much more important than they were before. So please go and drop a like and a comment. It would mean the world. And we need to finish giving a shout out to one of our lovely Patreon supporters. So shout out to Danger Morales. Been a supporter of ours for a long time now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.